welcome to At the Threshold. We're at day 6. My name's Katie. Thank you so much for being here. For today, I wanted to keep thinking about and continuing the conversation from yesterday. Yesterday in day 5, I talked about how I think there's 2 types of beginnings. Today, I want to share how I believe there's also 2 different ways of getting started, and also I think both are required. So I'm going to start with the most obvious. The best way to get started is to get started. Now, there's a lot of great books and resources out there on building good habits, but we just have to break through and do something. I think something manageable. I was just reading a blog I wrote in 2017 that just helped me remember how I was feeling when I quit my day job and I had yet to start my company. It was a bit altruistic, which if you've watched any of these videos, I'm a little bit altruistic as a whole. But it was exciting and scary, and I thought I was dreaming so big of what could possibly come of the decision I made. Now, the truth is, whatever those big dreams were back in 2017, I would have never, ever considered what actually happened. And that was even bigger than the 2017 version of me could have handled or dreamt. But my point in that blog is you just got to do something. And I shared a quote from Simon Sinek that I'd like to share here right now because, one, Simon Sinek does great work, and I think it captures that moment of getting started well. I'm going to cheat and read it. He says, "Dream big, start small, but most of all, start." And I think that's exactly captures those first steps. You know, the hardest thing that they say when you go to the gym or do yoga is just showing up at the mat, getting to the gym. I'd like to encourage you, whatever it is your hope or dream was that you identified yesterday, consider what is one thing that is, no matter how small it might feel, moves towards that direction. And honestly, the smaller the better at this stage. Don't create goals for yourself that set yourself up for failure. Do something that is realistic and maybe even feels small, but I will tell you, you will feel proud of yourself. You will feel that sense that you're moving towards the right direction when you complete that step. Now, a word of caution. Talking about your idea to other people to get their input and validation probably isn't the right next step for a couple of reasons. One, if you're really sure of yourself that this is something you want, you don't need their validation. Trust yourself. You can always change your mind or change kind of just like I did. What I initially started wasn't what I created with my company. But you just trust yourself. The other piece of it is there is a little bit of a trap with this, and that's the most important reason why I am sharing this word of caution. The trap is that by talking about an idea, it feels like you're doing something, and that's really not necessarily true. Now, if you're talking to someone to get tangible advice or ideas for next steps or accountability, because that person has some experience or background, okay, I'll give you that. But try to find something else tangible too, if that's sort of your plan. Because I know from experience, because I'm an idea person, that talking about the idea sometimes feels like doing it. I mean, I don't know about you, if you've ever had this thing you wanted to do and then you buy a book and just buying the book to help you do the thing. You do that and you're all proud of yourself. You may or may not read the book, but you never get to doing the thing. Like, it's sort of the same sort of idea, I think, that happens when we talk too much about our ideas instead of focus on doing something. The other thing on a word of caution with this is I think a lot of people just focus on this. I see a lot of teachers out there like emphasizing just momentum for the sake of momentum, or just do. And that works, I think, for a time, but I also think it can lead to burnout. And it's just not sustainable without the second way of getting started. So, yes, Simon's right on. Start small, whatever you do, just start. The second way of getting started is something you're already doing. So you can already say, sweet, I got this. I've got this one done. Just keep going. Excuse me. The second one is to consider how you self-sabotage. Consider and self-reflect, what's keeping me from doing this one thing? What am I afraid of? And just examining that part of you that can trip you up or get in the way, so that not so you can shame that part of you, but so that you can better be aware of it and also take care of it. That part of you is telling you something about yourself that needs compassion or needs support. And you're the only person that can give that piece of you what it needs. I'm going to read this quote that summarizes the second way of getting started from Carl Jung, if you're familiar with him. He is certainly was the founder, I think, in some ways, of considering how the unconscious impacts us in Jungian, what's now known, I suppose, as Jungian psychology. Carl Jung says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So let's just think about that for a minute. Until you make the unconscious conscious. How do we make the unconscious conscious? Reflection, self-examination, curiosity about ourselves instead of defensiveness, journaling, meditation, all these things. There's so many things. But until we do that, it, meaning our unconscious, will direct our lives. And we'll be unconscious to it, so we're just going to call it fate. So, the second way of getting started is to recognizing that doing something new automatically puts you on a personal growth journey, and to honor that journey by reflecting and supporting yourself. You can't just through pure willpower push and push and push and push ahead indefinitely. Doing new things requires you to take care of yourself, to examine your unconscious, to examine your fears, and to face them, to be honest. Carolyn Mace is probably the most influential teacher in my life, so if I don't bring her up in every video, I probably should just do that anyways, because the way she teaches about these things definitely impacts the way I see the world. But she has been teaching about archetypes, which Carl Jung identifies, for a very long time. And she's identified 4 survival archetypes that we all have. And one of them is the saboteur. So for today, 2 ways of getting started, I think, include doing something and reflecting on your saboteur. Where does that come from? How do you sabotage yourself? And what is it you can give yourself so you don't feel like you need to self-sabotage? I know that Carolyn has a YouTube video out there on the saboteur, and so I will share that as well in the comments if you're curious and want to learn more. But those are the 2 things I encourage you for today. I am going to put a journal prompt in Alumah. Now, if you've been following along and have not yet downloaded the app, please consider giving it a try. I am in the very early stages of creating this. Really, we released a feature, the journal. The app itself, what we call the minimal viable product, is coming in the next month or 2, hopefully sooner rather than later. But I could really use people trying it and giving me feedback and all of those good things that come with creating something new and learning and making it better. But of course, no pressure. Glad you're here. I'll put the prompt in Alumah for anyone that wants it. And I'll add both my blog post from Starry Eyed Katie back in 2017 and also the video link for Carolyn to help support you as you start moving towards what it is you hope for in this next chapter and year. So, thank you for joining me. I will see you tomorrow.